Hi, everyone. Welcome to the third video for the Adobe Illustrator series. This is for ART363B, digital illustration. Um, Today we're going to learn how to align, I guess like how to use the alignment tool. So go ahead and download this like file over here. As usual, I already have mine downloaded. Let's go ahead and open it up. And again, feel free to pause or rewind the video at any time if you need a moment to catch up. It is highly recommended to take your time and try out each of the things we talk about. Otherwise, just to kind of get started, so for this assignment, I want to teach y'all how to use the alignment tool. Now, this top part of the assignment is not going to be graded. The part that I'm going to be looking at will be this bottom part right here. So I want y'all to change this one into this one over here using only the alignment tool. But how do we use the alignment tool? So first and foremost, let's go to Windows and let's go to Align. You can also press Shift F7. And once you have your alignment tool, what I would recommend to do is you can probably like stick it onto the wall or something like that here. If you don't have enough computer space, it might be better to keep it more as like a drop-down menu thing. But otherwise, like feel free to take advantage of the space you have. Now, the alignment tool is a really awesome tool to use. So what does it do? First and foremost, there are three different types of alignment: align to artboard, align to selection, and align to key objects. Now, we'll start off with align to artboard. But what is an artboard? An artboard is each of these white areas that we see over here that we can make stuff in. Now, we can still take things out of the artboards, but inside of these areas would be considered an artboard. You can add and edit artboards by using the artboard tool over here. You can scale it. Oops. You can delete it. And you can edit whichever ones you'd like as well. Now, we're not going to be really using this tool, so be careful. Now, if I want to align to artboard, what does that mean? So first thing we're going to do, let's go ahead and select these three shapes over here. Once we have these three shapes, I'm going to go to the left side where my alignment tool is. So if you forget where to go to Windows and Align. And I'm going to go ahead and align to artboard. Now, what that means is the alignment tool will allow us to align anything together or distribute things equally from each other. So if I want to align everything to the artboard and I press middle, it'll align everything to the middle of the artboard. If I want to align everything to the left side, it'll align it to the left, to the right, or down. But you can see it collapses all the shapes together because they were previously on top of each other. We can also distribute these things equally from each other. So if I want to distribute them from the center using the artboard as my parameters. If I wanted to distribute them horizontally, I could do that too. You can also have them all meet back in the middle like that. So basically what this does is it allows us to distribute and align things based off the parameters of the artboard. Now, if you need a moment to just kind of play around with this, I would recommend pausing the video. Otherwise, when you're ready, we will go into the next one soon. Now, one last thing before I do move on. Artboard is not just from shapes or paths. it's also, it can also affect your anchor points. So if I want to move this anchor point to the very top over here, I can use my white arrow tool, select that anchor point, and I can align to the top. So it's a great way if you want to make certain things meet with each other, right? Or if you want to align like very specific points. But a lot of times you'll probably be switching back and forth between aligning certain shapes versus aligning certain points. Next up is going to be aligned selection. Aligned to selection is when you select your objects, it'll create what we call a selection box. Now, we're going to align to selection over here. So let's click on that setting. And what that means is it'll use the parameters of this box to help us align these objects with each other. So if I align to the top, it'll stop where the highest part is. If I align to the bottom, it'll align to the very bottom line. And so on with right, and so on with left. And if I want to align everything in the center, it'll align it all to the center of that selection box. Now, as your selection box gets adjusted based off of these new alignments, it also restricts and creates new parameters. So for example, if I align to the left now, it doesn't move very far because my selection box is only this big now. So you have to be kind of careful, but it could be a very great way for you to align. Let's just say if I want everything to be aligned to the left over here of this square, I could do that very easily. Or if I want to distribute everything equally, so if I want to make like something kind of like this, I can like extend this out and be like, I want everything to be distributed equally. And I could do that here, align it to the center. You see now everything is distributed very, very equally, right? But I would play around with these. One of the best ways selections are used actually is probably going to be with actually aligning your points a little more accurately. Now, even though you cannot see a selection box where you add points, you must consider the highest point and the lowest point. So you kind of have to imagine like a fake selection box here. And based off of that, you can move points down to where these are, or if you wanted to move them to the left, kind of like that, it makes it a lot easier for you to actually align 2 points with each other. But again, go ahead and play around with these. Once you're finished with it, we are going to move on to the key object, but I do recommend maybe spending around maybe 5 minutes, maybe even 10 if you really want to like go crazy with it and play around with the selections over here again. Finally, the last type of selection is going to be with the key object. With the key object, it's very easy to use. You can just go ahead and select key object. And right now, the square is the key object, so it's highlighted in blue, but we can change that by clicking any of the other ones here. And basically what it does is it allows us to align and distribute based off of that key object. Now, one new feature that this actually gives us, though, is distributing spacing. So for example, let's just say I want everything to meet in the middle of that key object. And actually, let's select this as the key object. Let's meet everything in the middle. Let's distribute things equally. Oh, whoops. There we go. And let's select this now as the key object. So now that I have the circle as the key object, let's say I want to push it out 2 inches horizontally from each other. And this can be very useful because if you needed specific measurements, which a lot of times when you're dealing with illustration, you may be printing something, right? Getting specific measurements can be a lot easier to achieve using this tool. It also allows you to just visually space things based off of how you want it to as well. But these are the 3 different selection types over here. I mostly use this one over here, but I think it's going to be a case by case basis, right? But let's go ahead and learn how to fix these parts down here. And again, don't forget to play around with this if you need some time to play around with it. I would pause for like 5 minutes and just maybe like mess around with it. Okay, so now that you've learned how all selections work, let's go ahead and fix this up. Using this, I'm going to go ahead and align my points with each other. So let's select the Y arrow tool, and I'm going to go ahead and select these two bottom parts first. Now, my goal is to move this down kind of like that, but without using the arrow tool, right? So to do that, I'm going to select these two. We're going to go to align to selection. And remember I mentioned you have to kind of imagine an invisible selection box here. So I'm going to use my ruler tool just to kind of show y'all. There's an invisible line down here, an invisible line over here, and like one over here, and then one over here. And this box is basically the selection box of, sorry, it's a little bit off, of our 2 points. So we have to imagine that. So if I select these two parts here and I align to selection and I align downwards, it'll move the left point down to the same height as the right point. Now, if you need a moment to like think about that, go ahead and pause and try that out. Otherwise, the next thing we're going to do is kind of flatten these sides out over here. Using the same concept, I'm just going to go ahead and select this point and this point. And we're going to go ahead, and if you're having trouble selecting, you can hold shift to select. So most people try to click these. That's fine too, but I've noticed it's a little bit tricky to click them sometimes. So if you just click and drag the areas that have the dots, it makes it so much easier. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and align to selection. Don't forget to check that. And I want this over here to move to the left, right? So to do that, I'm going to grab these, selection, and we're going to align to the left because this is already as far as we need on the left. And then for this side, selection onto the right. So go ahead and try that out. If you're having trouble doing it, make sure to Command or Control Z to go back to the previous step. And if you're really, really having trouble, it doesn't hurt to start over either. Now, the next two steps, I'm going to show you how to do multiple points at a time. So for the bottom part, I need all of the points to be aligned at the same height. I need all of the points on the bottom to be aligned at the same height. Now, I'm going to go ahead and select the top points, every other top point, kind of like this. If you followed like what we're doing, it shouldn't be very difficult to do. And you want to make sure to skip these ones here. Once you do that, you're going to align to selection, and then you're going to align up. And it'll bring all of these points to the same height. Now, the second part, you're going to go ahead and select all of these parts here. So I just clicked and dragged through that. Don't select the top points. And then you're going to select the two bottom points because that's where we want it to move to, right? So we want these parts over here. Let's take this away. We want like these parts over here to like move. We want like these parts over here to I don't know why it's selecting that. Yeah, we want like these parts over here to like all move down, right? So what makes it easier for us to do is if we just select these parts over here in one of the bottom corners, it can be both too. We can align to selection, move down, and it makes them all meet in the middle. Once you're finished with that, The next part we're going to do is we're going to use these to help us. We'll just grab each of these one by one. So I'm going to grab this top dip, just like dip over here, and I'm going to grab this bottom one over here. Using the Y arrow tool, so I need to move this to the left, right? So I'm going to grab these parts, and because the dark green area is more to the left than the light green part, we're going to align to the left to make that meet there. Just do the tip, align to the right. Align to the right. Let's do this one here too, just so it doesn't have too much overlapping. Align to the right. Align to the right. Align to the left. And align to the right. But there we go. Once you have something that kind of looks like this, you can go ahead and save your assignment. Otherwise, that is how we use the alignment tool. So again, go to File, Save As, save on my computer. Jesse underscore pack underscore file, export, export as. And then over here, you can just save one of these as a JPEG. CMYK, RGB, it doesn't matter. And then over here, you can just keep it on medium 5, 72 DPI. For your projects, they will have to be maximum. I would recommend, it doesn't, you know, if you're doing RGBs for web, if it's CMYK for print. So it's really up to you, but I do expect maximum quality for projects. But once you're done, you can save that, submit both of those files on Canvas, and that's basically it. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out and we can set an appointment. Otherwise, feel free to let me know in class 2, and I will see y'all in the next video.